Let's talk about the word standard. I've had to restart the recording of this video about 3 or 4 times, and it's because I really took some time to think about what I actually wanted to get out and the message that I wanted to deliver. And ultimately, if I were to sum it up in one sentence, it's the fact that I believe you should demand a better standard of living for yourself, a better standard of life, a better standard of your goals and where you want to end up. What inspired me to talk about this particular topic in this video, and why I believe it's even worth mentioning to begin with for those that are watching, is the fact that when I look around me a lot of the times, I see people that have the desire to improve, have the desire to get somewhere better, but they don't. They settle for where they're at right now. Their goals are mediocre, they're not big enough, and they ultimately keep themselves in this trap until they reach old age and until they eventually die. I'm someone that highly believes in the quote from Isaac Newton in which you only see far because you've stood on the shoulders of giants. The shoulders of the giants that I've stood on are also known as the mentors and the people that I've listened to and the people that have advised me in my life to get where I'm at right now, if anything I've accomplished is worthy of praise or recognition, is the fact that you need to take action because people do live their entire lives not accomplishing anything. I'll speak for myself when I say that when I was younger, if there was anything that I lacked, I've always relied on the fact that an older version of myself will be better in this matter. As when I was a child, it was just a natural expectation for me that by the time I was a fully grown adult, let's assume at 25 years old, I would have this amount of money in the bank account, I would be this type of individual, I would be this type of character, I would have this accomplished, that accomplished. Basically, imagining the perfect version of myself. I assume that it just naturally comes when you get older. It comes with the natural process of aging in your life. But the reality of it is, because of this lack of demand for that standard, because of this lack of, number one, not only having the ambition to drive towards it, but then also having the fear of staying where you're at in this moment or in this way of life that you're not satisfied with, without it, people actually never get to that better standard. And so that was when I realized you're only going to get there once you, number one, identify the goal, identify the vision, have the plan for it, and then actually take the action to do it. But how does it start? It really starts by you having that burning fire deep inside of you and wanting to do it, also known as demanding that better standard for yourself. So what does that actually mean? Let's put it into an example that makes sense for you to start to, process on a micro level and actually take action on. Let's imagine your fitness. You are someone that for a long time has settled for, and I say settled because you know that you have the potential to be better, but you just think it's out of reach. But if you personally have the desire to be in a certain stage, then great, get to where you want to be and stay there. But let's say you're someone that is serious about bodybuilding and you have the goal, or you would like to, and you have the potential to be someone that has, let's say, a similar physique to a professional bodybuilder. But you settle at the physique of someone, let's say, that only goes to the gym once or twice a week. Why is it that you've settled? Why is it that you've lowered your standard when you know you can set the goal to be like that individual that you aspire to be like and go after it? So that's the concept here. You know that you could reach something better, but you've settled for a lower level of it. So you stay there, when the reality is it's fully within reach for you to demand that better level for yourself and then go get it. The only difference is you taking action to actually accomplish the tasks that will allow you to get to that destination. So in terms of your fitness, just to get back on track with that example, you are someone that has a standard of gaining, let's say, 2 pounds of muscle a month, whereas you could give yourself the standard of gaining 10 pounds of muscle a month, or as much as you can naturally without resorting to steroids. But that's one example. Another one, in terms of finances, you are someone that has settled for a 9-to-5 job that pays you $80,000 a year, when realistically you have the desire of being someone that has the salary of $1 million and can afford $1 million a year, or just makes $1 million in general. So what I want you to do is now start to set the standard for yourself, set a higher standard of saying, I want to be the person in the position that can afford to drive this type of car, have this type of home, live this type of life, travel to these destinations. Raise your standard. Get to that position. It's fully within reach for you. Another example. Let's say you take a particular interest in a girl and you think she's out of reach for you, but you settle for someone that you think is within reach to you. If you have the desire to reach that higher thing, as I've said in the previous two examples, it's fully within reach to you. All you have to do is, number one, set that standard for yourself, demand that better version of your life for yourself, and then start to plan and take action and execute on what will allow you to get there. Furthermore than that, I think us as people putting ourselves in a position in which we start to demand a better standard for ourselves gives you a better satisfaction in life. Not only because of the fact that when you reach the goals, you're happy about the fact that you've reached the goal that you're at, but furthermore than that, it's also because of the fact that we find gratitude in the journey itself. When you are in the process of working towards a better goal and you let that be a majority of what occupies yourself, occupies your mind, occupies your life, what you start to realize is that you become more grateful for life as it is, even though you haven't reached the goal. But if we were to identify depression, or at least from my limited understanding of depression, if we were to identify it, it's a lack of meaning, a lack of purpose, a lack of overall satisfaction with your life to an extent that you want to curl up in a ball, let's say stay in your bed all day and not do anything because you're not seeing anything that is worthy of you committing to it and taking you out of that hole. But now let's say you're someone that lives at a certain standard of life in which you're here and you want to get to here, and there's a lot of work you have to do to close that gap. I don't think you're going to have the time or the mind or the energy to sit and be depressed and, cry in a puddle of tears about your past when you're so busy chasing a better future. Just the fact that you're in the very moment of you working on something that's going to take you to a better version of your life is a satisfaction that I think just won't give you the time to be upset. Because you've wanted something that's better and you're actually doing the work and you're taking the action to reach it. You're literally doing everything you could to become that better version of yourself. So how could you feel anything except for a sense of appreciation towards not only the goal that you want to reach, but then also towards yourself for actually taking action on getting to where you want to get? As far as I can think from this short video that I'm trying to film, which is, of course, as all the videos are, unscripted, there are really no cons to demanding a better version of yourself, a better version or a better standard of life in general. You're happy with where you're at now, that's great. But if you are someone that truly has that deep lack of satisfaction with where you are and you want better things for yourself, all it starts with is actually demanding it for yourself. It's not saying, I would like to get there one day. It's, I'm going to get there one day. I will not die until I reach this thing. I'm going to spend the rest of my life working to either reach this thing or I will die an honorable death trying. And as long as you have that type of demand for yourself, if that's where you start, that's the mindset that you carry, you're always going to win. Because as I mentioned, one of three things is going to happen. You're either going to work and you're going to reach your goal, or you're going to keep working for your whole life, let's say. But you're going to have that satisfaction while you're working to reach it, because you can always tell yourself, I'm doing everything I can, I'm on my way, I will get there eventually. Or you will die on your way there, but once again, that is an honorable death because you've died trying. And that is much better than someone that doesn't ever try and dies by themselves with the shame of knowing they had the potential and they had the resources to do better, but they never did. Because the reality of it is, if you think you have it hard, there's always someone out there that has it harder. There's always someone out there that has it worse, but did it better. So what is your excuse when someone was in a position that's 10 times worse than you, yet they've still accomplished more? And if they had your resources, they probably would have been even further. You have no excuse. You have no obstacles except for the ones that you set up for yourself to not get to where you want to get. So if you see something out there that you want and you want that better life for yourself, start off by demanding it for yourself. Start off by setting a higher standard for yourself. See you in the next one.